Imagine getting grabbed by the neck, forcefully thrown to the ground, and then violently shoved in the face while you are already lying defenseless on the floor. In any normal situation, in any walk of life, you are the undeniable victim. You wait for the authorities to step in, deliver justice, and severely punish the aggressor. But this is international football, and this is FIFA's disciplinary committee we are talking about. After reviewing the footage of this brutal assault, FIFA officials turned around, pointed their fingers directly at the bruised victim, and essentially said, "You are suspended too!" And this is not some wild hypothetical scenario or a glitch in the Matrix. This is exactly what just happened to Barcelona and Spain's star midfielder Gavi. And this single, mind-boggling, reality-bending decision is just the absolute tip of the iceberg in what has rapidly exploded into the most chaotic, widespread, and devastating disciplinary disaster in recent football history. We are no longer just talking about a little post-match scuffle. We are looking at a catastrophic meltdown that could result in a staggering 22 combined matches of suspensions, completely reshaping the immediate future of the Argentina National Team. So, buckle up, because the deeper we dig into FIFA's official charge sheets, the crazier this story gets. To understand why Gavi's punishment feels so incredibly jarring, we first have to look at the man who allegedly put him on the floor in the first place. Enter Leandro Paredes, a player whose name is currently catching so much heat that it is practically melting FIFA's fax machines. If you look at the official charge sheet, Paredes is not just facing a slap on the wrist, he is staring down the barrel of a career-altering ban. FIFA has hit him with 3 separate counts of assault under Article 14 of their disciplinary code, plus an additional count of unsporting behavior. They are not rolling this entire massive brawl into one single incident. No, they are dissecting his actions second by agonizing second. Count 1 involves Paredes grabbing Spain's Eric Garcia by the neck, a move that FIFA's own prosecutor officially described as a chokehold. Count 2 is the exact moment he targets Gavi, bringing the young midfielder to the ground and physically holding him by the collar. And if that wasn't enough, Count 3 involves Paredes pushing Gavi directly in the face while the Spaniard was already down on the turf. Under FIFA's strict disciplinary code, each individual assault charge carries a mandatory minimum suspension of 3 international matches. Do the math. If those minimums are stacked separately for all 3 counts, Paredes is instantly looking at 9 matches. Add the unsporting behavior charge, and we are talking about a massive 10-match ban. But here's where the internet has turned this into a completely different kind of nightmare for Paredes. This isn't just about one chaotic night anymore. It has become a full-blown digital trial. Since the news broke, social media has transformed into a giant, unforgiving archive. Rival fans are furiously digging through years of old match footage, reposting every controversial tackle, every heated argument, and every physical altercation Paredes has ever been involved in. Everyone remembers the infamous moment from the 2022 World Cup, where he blasted a ball directly into the Netherlands dugout, sparking a massive brawl. Even recent footage from his club career at Boca Juniors, where he was seen kicking a dead ball toward an opponent, has been dragged right back into the spotlight. While old viral clips cannot automatically be used as formal evidence for a completely different match, reports suggest FIFA is actively looking to see if there is a broader, systemic pattern of aggressive behavior here. If they formally take his previous disciplinary history into account, that 10-match minimum could realistically become much, much worse. Yet, despite this mountain of damning allegations against Paredes, we find ourselves back at the most controversial twist of this entire saga, Gavi. The player who was choked, dragged, and pushed while grounded has officially been charged with 1 count of unsporting behavior, carrying a potential 1-match suspension. The optics of this are absolutely messy. How does the target of a 3-count assault end up on the disciplinary list? According to reports, FIFA's review looked beyond the specific moments of Gavi being attacked and scrutinized his entire conduct during the wider confrontation. Their implicit message is clear. Being a victim of misconduct does not give you a free pass to retaliate or cross the disciplinary line yourself. The rules allow both players to be punished simultaneously. But when you put these potential bans side by side, 10 matches for the aggressor and 1 match for the guy he dragged to the floor, it is incredibly hard for fans to swallow. It has sparked a massive debate about victim blaming, the right to self-defense on a football pitch, and whether FIFA's rigid application of the rules completely ignores basic human nature. But hold on, because the chaos does not stop with Paredes and Gavi. We have to rewind to the exact moment this powder keg exploded, and that brings us to Nahuel Molina. According to the charges, Molina is the spark that ignited this entire dumpster fire. Moments after Argentina suffered the bitter reality of losing the final, failing to register even a single shot on target all game, Spain's captain, Rodri, was naturally sprinting past to celebrate the monumental victory with his teammates. In that highly charged emotional moment, Molina allegedly reached out and struck Rodri right in the stomach. Rodri stopped, turned around, and the tension instantly skyrocketed into a furious face-to-face confrontation. FIFA is treating this not as a messy accident, but as a deliberate act. Molina has reportedly been slapped with 2 assault-related counts, 1 completed and 1 attempted, along with a count of unsporting behavior. If those 3 match minimums for assault stack up, Molina is looking at a minimum 7-match ban. But the real drama for Molina isn't just international suspension. It is the incredibly awkward, utterly painful reality of his club career. Molina plays for Atletico Madrid. He now has to pack his bags, fly back to the Spanish capital, and walk into a dressing room filled with Spanish national team players whose captain he allegedly punched. Imagine the sheer awkwardness of that first preseason training session. He is walking straight into a social and professional minefield, while the dark cloud of a massive FIFA ban hangs right over his head. And just when you think this situation cannot possibly get any more embarrassing for Argentina, we have to talk about the adults in the room, or rather, the complete lack of them. Enter Roberto Ayala, the Argentine assistant coach. When a pitch descends into absolute madness, the coaching staff has one primary job: be the peacemakers. You grab your players, you drag them away, and you de-escalate. Instead, footage from the aftermath reportedly shows Ayala doing the exact opposite. He was caught actively striking Spain's Dani Olmo. Having a member of the management staff throw hands in a post-match brawl elevates this from a player dispute to a severe institutional failure. Ayala has been charged with 1 count of assault, which carries a minimum 3-match touchline ban. But Ayala made things infinitely worse with his post-match public relations disaster. He released a statement apologizing, but heavily caveated it by claiming his contact was just a push, not a punch, and that Olmo had verbally provoked him first. Rather than putting the fire out, Ayala poured gasoline on it. Dani Olmo did not hold back, firing off a ruthless 2-word response: "He's lying." Olmo then publicly lectured the coach on dignity, stating that a true man accepts his mistakes with sincerity rather than making up excuses. It was a brutal, public humiliation for an assistant coach who is supposed to command respect. Now, instead of a quiet disciplinary process, Ayala is dealing with a highly publicized feud that makes the Argentine coaching staff look entirely out of control. Rounding out the player charges is Thiago Almada, who is facing a lighter, but still significant, charge of unsporting behavior for his involvement in the wider pushing and shoving, which could result in a 1-match ban or a formal warning. But if you zoom out from the individual players, the shadow hanging over the Argentine Football Association itself is apocalyptic. FIFA is not just looking at the final whistle brawl. They are investigating a systemic breakdown of discipline across multiple matches. The AFA is being scrutinized under Article 13 for displaying a politically charged Falklands banner after the semi-final against England. They are facing charges under Article 14 for the team's collective misconduct during the final. Even worse, Article 15 has been triggered due to serious allegations of discrimination and racist abuse. This deeply troubling investigation is reportedly linked to the viral Enzo Fernandez racist chant video, as well as alleged discriminatory gestures from supporters, and the waving of an Israeli flag toward Egypt's coaching staff. Add in Article 17, which covers crowd control, delayed kickoffs, and fans throwing beer bottles, and you have a rap sheet that reads like a criminal dossier. The consequences for the AFA could be devastating. We are talking about massive financial fines, severe crowd restrictions, or the ultimate nightmare, being forced to play upcoming international matches behind completely closed doors in empty stadiums. With Argentina heavily involved as a host nation for the 2030 World Cup, any ruling that damages their organizational credibility or brands them as chronically undisciplined could send shockwaves through the global football business. When you take a step back and add up the reported minimums, 10 matches for Paredes, 7 for Molina, 3 for Ayala, 1 for Almada, and the highly controversial 1 match for Gavi, you hit a breathtaking 22 matches of suspensions, stemming from a complete failure of emotional control. What started as the pain of losing a final 1-0 has mutated into a sprawling, multi-layered scandal involving chokeholds, lying coaches, awkward club reunions, internet investigations, and a federation on the brink of severe sanctions. The final whistle didn't end the battle. It merely moved it to the courtrooms of FIFA. As we wait for the final, official verdicts and the inevitable appeals, the football world is completely divided. Is the impending hammer of justice exactly what this team needs to finally learn some discipline? Or has FIFA lost the plot by punishing the very players who were dragged to the ground? This story is far from over, and the fallout will be felt for years to come.